Welcome to my channel, Bookish English. Have you ever felt stuck because you translate every sentence in your mind and still cannot speak English easily? What if I tell you, you don't need more grammar, you just need to learn how to think in English? Today, I will show you a simple way to train your brain, step by step. But be careful. Most learners do this in the wrong way, and I will show you the right way. Chapter 1. Why Thinking is the Real Problem. Chapter 1. Why Thinking is the Real Problem. Have you ever been in a moment where you wanted to say something in English, something very simple, something you already knew in your own language, but your mind suddenly became slow and heavy, as if it was carrying a big weight? You start with an idea, then you stop. Then you try to find the right words, then you translate, and by the time you are ready, the moment is already gone. This is not because you are not smart. This is not because you do not know English. This is happening because your brain is doing extra work that it does not need to do. And today I want you to feel something very important. You are not alone in this struggle. Almost every English learner goes through this same pain, this same confusion, and this same quiet frustration where you know more than you can say, but you cannot express it at the right time. Let me show you what is really happening inside your mind. Imagine you want to say a simple sentence like, I am tired. In your language, this sentence is already clear, but instead of saying it directly in English, your brain first goes back to your native language. Then it starts searching for the English version. Then it checks if it is correct, and then finally you speak. This whole process may take only a few seconds, but those seconds feel very long, especially when you are talking to someone. And during those seconds, something else happens. Your confidence starts to drop. You begin to doubt yourself. You feel like maybe your English is not good enough, even though you already knew the sentence. So the problem is not knowledge. The problem is the process. Many learners believe that if they learn more vocabulary, they will speak better. Some believe that if they study more grammar rules, they will become fluent. But here is the truth that most people do not talk about. You can know hundreds of words, you can understand many grammar rules, and still struggle to speak. Why? Because speaking is not only about what you know, it is about how fast you can use what you know. And speed does not come from translation. Speed comes from direct thinking. This is the moment where everything starts to change. When you understand that English is not just a subject to study, but a habit of thinking, you begin to see learning in a completely new way. Think about how you speak in your own language. You do not translate. You do not stop and check grammar rules in your head. You simply think and then you speak. The words come naturally because your brain is trained to work in that language. Now imagine if you could do the same in English. Imagine if you could look at something and immediately think in English, without going back to your native language. That is the real goal. That is what fluency actually means. It is not about speaking fast or using big words. It is about thinking directly, clearly, and naturally. Now I want you to picture a very common situation. You are in a conversation, maybe with a friend, maybe with a teacher, or maybe even talking to yourself. You want to say something simple like, I like this place, but your mind starts searching for the words. You think in your language first, then you try to convert it into English, and suddenly you feel stuck. This is where many learners stop trying. They become silent. They think they need more time, more study, more preparation. But the truth is, they do not need more time. They need a different method. They need to train their brain to think in English, not translate into English. Translation creates three big problems. First, it creates delay, because your brain is doing two steps instead of one. Second, it creates fear, because you are always checking if your sentence is correct before you say it. And third, it creates confusion, because sometimes the sentence in your language does not match perfectly in English. So you get stuck between two systems, and your confidence becomes weaker. But when you remove translation, something beautiful happens. Your mind becomes lighter, your thoughts become faster, your sentences become simpler but more natural. Here is a powerful idea that I want you to remember. English is not something you study for a test. English is something you use to think about your life, your feelings, your daily actions. When you start using English inside your mind, even in very small ways, you begin to build a new habit. At first it may feel strange, it may feel slow, but this is how every skill begins. Step by step, your brain starts to adapt. It starts to connect English words directly with meaning, not with translation. And this is the moment where real progress begins. Most learners spend a lot of time practicing speaking, which is good, but very few learners practice thinking. And this is the hidden reason why many people feel stuck for months or even years. They are trying to speak without training the system that creates speech. It is like trying to run fast without learning how to walk properly. Thinking is the foundation. When your thinking becomes simple and clear, your speaking becomes easy and natural. You do not need to force it, it just comes out. By the end of this video, I want you to feel a shift inside your mind. I want you to understand that you do not need to be perfect to start thinking in English. You do not need to know everything. You only need to start small and stay consistent. You will learn how to build this habit step by step in a way that feels natural and not stressful. And slowly, without pressure, you will notice that your mind is no longer translating. It is thinking. And when that happens, speaking will no longer feel like a difficult task. It will feel like a natural expression of your thoughts. So right now, I want you to take a small pause and ask yourself one question. When I try to speak English, do I think first in my language? If your answer is yes, then you already know where the real problem is. And the good news is, you are about to learn how to fix it. This is not about working harder, this is about working smarter in a way that matches how your brain naturally learns language. And once you understand this, everything will start to change. Chapter 2: How Your Brain Learns Language. Now I want you to imagine something very simple, something very real, something that you have already seen in your life many times, but maybe you never thought about it deeply. Imagine a small child, maybe 2 or 3 years old, sitting on the floor holding an apple in their hand. The child looks at the apple, touches it, maybe even tastes it, and then someone says the word apple. At that moment, something very important happens inside the child's brain. The word apple connects directly to the object, to the color, to the shape, to the taste. There is no translation. There is no second language in between. It is just a direct connection between the word and the meaning. This is how the human brain naturally learns language. It connects words with real experiences, not with other words. When a child hears apple, they do not think of another word in another language. They think of the actual apple. They see it in their mind. They feel it. This is why children learn languages so fast, even without studying grammar rules or memorizing long lists of vocabulary. Their learning is direct, natural, and simple. And here is something very powerful that you need to understand. Your brain still works in the same way. It has not changed. It is still capable of learning like a child, but the method you are using may be blocking this natural process. Now let us compare this with how most English learners try to learn. You see the word apple, but instead of connecting it directly to the real apple, your brain goes back to your native language. You think of the word in your language first, and then you connect it to the English word. So now instead of one connection, you have two steps: English word to native word, and then native word to meaning. This may seem normal, but it creates a small delay every time you think or speak. And that small delay becomes a big problem when you are trying to communicate in real time. This is why thinking feels slow for many learners. It is not because your brain is slow. It is because your process is indirect. When you use translation, your brain is doing extra work. It is like taking a longer road to reach a place that is actually very close. But when you connect English directly to meaning, just like a child does, everything becomes faster and easier. Your thoughts begin to flow naturally. You do not need to stop and check every sentence. You simply understand and express. Let me give you another simple example. Imagine you are drinking water. A child in an English-speaking environment learns the word water while drinking it. The word is connected to the action, to the feeling, to the experience. But as a learner, you may first think of the word in your language, and then say water. This may feel small, but this habit becomes very strong over time. It becomes automatic, and that is why it is hard to speak quickly and confidently. You are always taking the longer path. Now here comes a very important realization, and I want you to really feel this. You have not been learning English in a wrong way because you are not capable. You have been using a method that is not natural for your brain. That is all. There is nothing wrong with you. In fact, your brain is incredibly powerful. It has already learned one language, maybe even more. It already knows how to connect words with meaning. You just need to guide it in the right direction again. When you start thinking directly in English, you are not forcing your brain to do something new. You are helping it return to its natural way of learning. And this is why this method feels simple, but also powerful. At first, it may feel a little uncomfortable, because you are breaking an old habit. Your brain may try to go back to translation, because that is what it is used to. But if you stay consistent, even with very small steps, your brain will slowly build new connections. Thinking becomes fast because it is direct. There is no middle step, no extra process, no unnecessary delay. You see something, and the English word comes to your mind. You feel something, and the sentence forms naturally. This is how fluent speakers think. They are not translating quickly. They are not using a secret trick. They are simply thinking directly in the language. And the beautiful thing is, you can do the same. On the other hand, translation is slow because it is indirect. It adds extra steps, extra pressure, and extra confusion. It makes you feel like you need more time, more thinking, and more effort. But once you remove this habit, you will notice something surprising. Your English is already inside you. The words you have learned will start to come out more easily. The sentences will become simpler, but more natural, and your confidence will begin to grow. I want you to take a moment and think about your own learning. How do you usually understand English words? Do you connect them directly to meaning, or do you translate them into your language first? Be honest with yourself. This is not about judging. This is about understanding. Because once you see the pattern, you can start to change it. And here is the most exciting part. You do not need years to fix this. You do not need to study complicated rules. You just need to start practicing in a different way. You will learn how to connect words with real things, real actions, and real feelings. You will train your brain step by step, just like a child, but in a more conscious and guided way. And slowly, your thinking will become faster, clearer, and more natural. So remember this simple truth. Your brain is not your enemy. It is your greatest strength. It already knows how to learn language. You just need to stop blocking it with translation and start using it in a direct way. When you do that, everything will begin to change, and you will finally feel what it means to think in English, not translate into English. Chapter 3. The first step. Think in simple sentences. Now we move from understanding to action, and this is where everything begins to change in a real and practical way. You already know that thinking is the key, and you already understand that translation is slowing you down. But the big question is this: how do you actually start thinking in English without feeling lost or confused? The answer is much simpler than you think. and it may surprise you because it does not require big words or long sentences. It starts with very small, very simple sentences that connect directly to your daily life. This is the first step, and it is the most important one, because if you start correctly, everything else becomes easier. Let me show you what I mean. Think about your day right now. Maybe you are sitting, maybe you are watching this video, maybe you are feeling a little tired or maybe a little excited. All of these are real feelings, real actions, real moments. Now, instead of thinking about them in your own language, try to express them in English using very simple sentences. You can say, I am sitting. You can say, I am watching. You can say, I am learning. You can say, I am tired, or I am happy. These sentences are not complicated, but they are real, and that is what makes them powerful. You are not trying to create perfect English. You are simply connecting your thoughts with simple English words. Many learners make a common mistake at this stage, and I want you to avoid it completely. They try to think in long sentences from the beginning. They try to sound advanced. They try to use difficult words, and they try to build perfect grammar. But this creates pressure, and that pressure stops the thinking process. Your brain becomes busy trying to be correct, instead of being natural. This is why simple sentences are the best place to start. They are easy for your brain to handle, and they allow you to focus on thinking, not on perfection. Imagine learning to walk. You do not start by running. You take small steps, you balance yourself, and slowly you gain confidence. Thinking in English works in the same way. When you use small sentences, your brain begins to build a new habit. It starts to recognize patterns, it starts to connect words with meaning, and it starts to feel comfortable. And once that comfort grows, you can naturally move to longer sentences. But you do not need to rush. The goal is not to impress anyone. The goal is to train your mind. Now I want you to do something with me, right here, right now. Do not just listen. Do not just understand. Actually do it. Close your eyes for a moment, or simply focus your mind, and think 3 simple sentences about your current situation. You can say, I am watching a video. Then say, I am learning English. Then say, I want to improve. Take your time and repeat these sentences in your mind. Feel them. Do not translate them. Just think them directly in English. This is your first real practice, and it may feel small, but it is a very big step. What you are doing right now is training your brain in a new way. You are teaching it to think directly, without going back to your native language. And the more you do this, the stronger this habit becomes. At first, you may still feel the need to translate, and that is okay. Do not fight it too hard. Just gently bring your mind back to simple English sentences. Over time, this will become easier, and you will notice that your thoughts start coming in English more naturally. There is something very important that I want you to understand deeply. Simple sentences are not weak. They are not a sign of low-level English. In fact, they are the foundation of all communication. Even fluent speakers use simple sentences every day because they are clear, direct, and effective. When you say, I am tired, you are expressing a complete idea. When you say, I want water, you are communicating a real need. This is real English, and it is enough to start building your confidence. As you continue practicing, you will see that these small sentences begin to connect with each other. One sentence becomes two, two become three, and slowly you begin to create longer thoughts without even trying. For example, you may start with, I am tired, and then naturally think, I am tired because I worked a lot today. But notice how this happens. It grows from a simple sentence, not from a complicated one. This is why starting small is so powerful. It gives your brain a strong and stable base. Another beautiful thing about this method is that you can practice it anywhere, You do not need a book. You do not need a teacher. You do not need a special time. You can think simple sentences while walking, while eating, while sitting, or even while waiting for something. Every moment becomes an opportunity to practice. Your life becomes your classroom, and your thoughts become your exercises. This makes learning feel natural, not forced. Now I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine that after a few days of practice, you start noticing that your thoughts are coming faster. You do not need to stop and translate every word. You look at something, and the English sentence comes to your mind directly. You feel something, and you can express it in simple English. This is the beginning of real fluency. It does not come from memorizing hundreds of words. It comes from building a thinking habit, one simple sentence at a time. So as you move forward, remember this one simple rule. Do not try to be perfect. Try to be consistent. Think small sentences every day. Repeat them in your mind. Use them in your real life. And slowly, without pressure, you will see a big change. Your mind will become faster, your confidence will grow, and English will start to feel like a natural part of your thinking. How? Oh, this is your first step, and it is a powerful one. You are not just learning English anymore. You are training your brain to think in English, and that changes everything. Under Chapter 4. Stop translating. Start seeing. Now we come to a very powerful shift, and this is where your learning begins to feel real, alive, and connected to your everyday life. Until now, you have understood that translation slows you down, and you have started thinking in simple sentences. But there is one more step that will change everything in a deeper way. You must stop translating, and you must start seeing. This may sound simple, but it is a completely different way of using your brain. It is the moment where English stops being something in your head and starts becoming something in your world. Let me explain this clearly. Right now, when you look at an object, what happens in your mind? You see a chair, but you do not say chair in English immediately. First, your brain says the word in your own language, and then you translate it into English. This is the habit we want to break. Instead of going through this long process, you will train your brain to connect what you see directly with English. So when you look at a chair, you simply think, this is a chair. No translation, no second step, no delay, just a direct connection between your eyes and your English thinking. Try this with me right now. Look around you. Maybe you see a table, a phone, a door, or a window. Now instead of naming these things in your own language, say them in English inside your mind. You can say, this is a table. Then, this is my phone. Then, that is a door. Keep it simple, keep it clear, and most importantly, do not translate. Just see and say. This is how you start building a new habit, one that feels natural and fast. Now let us go a little deeper. Seeing is not only about objects, it is also about actions and feelings. For example, if you are walking, you can think, I am walking. If you are drinking water, you can think, I am drinking water. If you feel tired, you can think, I am tired. These are real experiences, and when you connect them directly with English, your brain begins to understand the language in a more natural way. You are no longer learning English as a subject. You are living it, moment by moment. At first, this method may feel a little strange. Your brain may try to go back to translation, because that is what it is used to. You may feel a small resistance, or a small confusion, and that is completely normal. It simply means you are doing something new. Do not worry about being perfect. Do not worry if it feels slow in the beginning. Stay with it. Give your brain time to adjust. Just like any new habit, it becomes easier with practice. There is a beautiful moment that happens when you continue this practice for a few days. Suddenly, without even trying, you start noticing that English words come to your mind faster. You look at something, and the English word appears directly. You do not need to search for it. You do not need to translate it. It just comes. This is the moment where you realize that something inside your brain is changing. You are no longer forcing English. You are starting to feel it. One of the most powerful things about this method is that you can practice it anywhere, at any time. You do not need a special place. You do not need a book or a lesson. You can practice while sitting in your room, while walking outside, while cooking, or even while waiting for something. Every object you see becomes a word. Every action you do becomes a sentence. Every feeling you experience becomes an opportunity to think in English. This is what makes this method so strong. It turns your whole life into a learning environment. Let me give you a simple example from daily life. Imagine you are in your room. You look at your bed and think, "This is my bed." Then you look at your bag and think, "This is my bag." Then you pick up your phone and think, "I am using my phone." Then you sit down and think, "I am sitting." These are not complicated sentences, but they are real, and they are connected to your life. This is how you build fluency step by step, not by memorizing, but by experiencing. As you continue, you can also add small details. For example, instead of saying, "This is a chair," you can say, "This is a big chair," or "This is a brown chair." But remember, do not rush. Start simple, and then grow naturally. Your brain needs time to build strong connections, and simple sentences are the best way to do that. Now I want you to pause for a moment and think about this question. How many things around you can you name in English right now without translating? Look around you and try it. Try to see and say directly in English. This is your practice. This is your training. And the more you do it, the more natural it will become. You are not just learning words anymore. You are building a direct connection between your world and the English language. This is what children do, and this is why they learn so fast. And now, you are doing the same thing, but with awareness and intention. You are training your brain in the right way. So remember this powerful idea. Stop translating and start seeing. Let your eyes and your mind work together in English. Let your daily life become your teacher. And trust the process, even if it feels strange at first. Because very soon, what feels strange today will become natural tomorrow, and what feels slow today will become fast and easy. This is the moment where English begins to live inside you, not as a subject, but as a part of your thinking, your seeing, and your everyday life. Chapter 5. Talk to yourself every day. Now we are going to unlock something very powerful, something simple, something that most people ignore, but it can completely change the way you learn English. I want you to understand this deeply. You do not need a partner to start speaking English. You do not need a perfect environment, and you do not need to wait for the right moment. You already have everything you need, and the secret tool is your own voice, your own thoughts, your own daily life. This chapter is about talking to yourself, and I want you to remove any fear or doubt right now, because this is not strange. This is one of the most powerful ways to train your brain. Think about it for a moment. You already talk to yourself in your mind every single day. When you wake up, you think about your plans. When you walk, you think about where you are going. When you feel something, you describe it in your mind. This is natural. This is human. So instead of doing this in your own language, You will slowly start doing it in English. You are not adding something new to your life. You are simply changing the language of something you already do. Let us make this very simple and very practical. Imagine you are walking in your house. Instead of thinking silently in your own language, you say in your mind, I am walking. Then you go to the kitchen and you think, I am going to the kitchen. Then you pick up a glass and think, I am drinking water. These sentences are small, but they are real. They are connected to your actions. And because they are connected to your actions, your brain learns faster and more naturally. Now here is something important that I want you to feel. When you talk to yourself in English, you are not just practicing speaking. You are training your thinking at the same time. You are building a direct connection between your life and the English language. And the more you do this, the more automatic it becomes. You will not need to force yourself forever. At some point, your brain will start doing it on its own. Many learners feel shy when they think about speaking English. They worry about mistakes, they worry about how they sound, and they worry about what others will think. But when you talk to yourself, all of that fear disappears. There is no one to judge you, there is no pressure. You are free to make mistakes, and this freedom is what helps you grow faster. You can repeat sentences, you can correct yourself, and you can try again without any fear. Let me share a simple story with you. There was a learner who struggled for a long time. He knew many English words, and he understood basic grammar, but he could not speak confidently. Every time he tried, he felt stuck. One day, he decided to try something different. Instead of waiting for someone to practice with, he started talking to himself every day. At first, it felt strange. He felt a little uncomfortable, and sometimes he did not know what to say. But he did not stop. He kept going, day after day. He started with very simple sentences. I am waking up. I am brushing my teeth. I am going outside. These were small steps, but they were consistent. After a few days, something interesting happened. His thinking became faster. He did not need to translate every word. After a few weeks, he noticed that he could speak more easily when talking to others. And after some time, he realized that his confidence had completely changed. Not because he studied more, but because he practiced in a smarter way. This story is not special because of the person. It is special because of the method. And this method is available to you right now. You do not need to wait. You can start today, in your own room, in your own space, at your own pace. This is your journey, and you are in control. Now let us go a little deeper. When you talk to yourself, try to make it real and natural. Do not just repeat sentences like a machine. Think about your feelings, your plans, your thoughts. You can say, I feel tired today because I worked a lot. You can say, I want to learn English because I want a better future. You can say, I am happy because I am improving. These sentences are personal, and that makes them more powerful. When your sentences have emotion, your brain remembers them better. You can also ask yourself questions and answer them. For example, you can think, what am I doing now? And then answer, I am watching a video. Or you can ask, what will I do next? And answer, I will study English. This creates a small conversation in your mind, and it helps you build flow. You are not just thinking in words, you are thinking in communication. At this point, I want you to try something again. Right now, think about what you are doing. Then say 3 sentences in your mind. For example, I am watching this video. Then, I am learning something new. Then, I want to improve my English. Take a moment and do it. Feel the sentences. Do not rush. This is your practice, and it is more powerful than you think. Remember, You do not need a perfect accent. You do not need perfect grammar. What you need is consistency. If you talk to yourself every day, even for a few minutes, you will start to see a change. Your thoughts will become clearer, your sentences will become easier, and your confidence will grow. And when you finally speak to others, it will not feel like something new. It will feel like something you have already practiced many times. So from today, make this a habit. Talk to yourself in English every day. Use your life as your content. Use your thoughts as your sentences. And trust the process, even if it feels strange at the beginning. Because very soon, what feels strange will become natural, and what feels difficult will become easy. You are not alone in this journey. You are your own partner, your own teacher, and your own speaker, and that is your greatest strength. Chapter 6. The Three-Sentence Thinking Habit. Now we are going to build something very simple, but very powerful. And this is where your daily practice becomes clear, structured, and easy to follow. Until now, you have learned how to think in simple sentences, and you have started talking to yourself. But sometimes learners still feel confused and ask, what should I think about? And how should I practice every day? This is where the three-sentence thinking habit comes in. It is not complicated, it is not heavy, and it does not require a lot of time. It is a small system that you can use again and again, and it will slowly train your brain to think in English naturally. Let me explain the idea in the simplest way. Every time you see something, you will think 3 sentences about it in English. That is all. Not 10 sentences, not long paragraphs, just 3 simple sentences. For example, if you see a car, you can think, I see a car. The car is fast. I like this car. These sentences are short, clear, and connected. You are not trying to be perfect. You are simply building a flow, step by step. One sentence leads to the next, and the next becomes easier. Now you may be thinking, how can something so simple help me improve? The answer is in repetition and connection. When you repeat this habit many times during the day, your brain starts to recognize patterns. It starts to understand how sentences are built, how ideas connect, and how thoughts move from one point to another. You are not memorizing rules. You are experiencing the language in a natural way. And this is what builds real confidence. Let us try another example together. Imagine you are holding your phone. Now think 3 sentences. You can say, this is my phone. I use my phone every day. I like my phone. Notice how easy this feels. You are not searching for difficult words. You are not trying to sound advanced. You are simply describing something real. And because it is real, your brain connects with it faster. This is the secret of this habit. It is simple, but it is deeply effective. Now I want you to do something with me again, because this is not just about understanding, it is about doing. Look around you right now. Find any object near you. It can be anything: a table, a pen, a bag, or even your hand. Now think 3 sentences about it in English. Take your time. For example, you might say, this is a table. The table is brown. I use this table every day. Pause for a moment and actually do it. This is your practice, and this is how your brain starts to change. What you will notice over time is that these 3 sentences begin to connect more naturally. At first, you may need a few seconds to think of each sentence, but after some practice, the sentences will come faster. You will not feel stuck. You will not feel lost. Your mind will start moving smoothly from one idea to another. This is what we call flow, and it is very important for speaking. When your thinking flows, your speaking flows too. Another beautiful thing about this habit is that it feels like a game, not a lesson. You are not sitting with a book, trying to memorize something. You are playing with your thoughts. You are looking at the world around you and turning it into English. Every object becomes a small challenge, and every challenge becomes an opportunity to improve. This makes learning fun, and when learning feels fun, you stay consistent without forcing yourself. You can also make this habit more interesting by changing your sentences a little. For example, instead of always saying, I like this, you can try, I do not like this, or this is very useful, or this is very simple. You can describe colors, sizes, feelings, and actions. But remember, keep it simple. Do not try to make it complicated too quickly. The goal is to build a strong base, and that comes from clarity, not complexity. There is something very important that happens when you repeat this habit every day. Your confidence starts to grow quietly. You may not notice it immediately, but after a few days, you will feel a difference. Your thoughts will come faster, your sentences will feel easier, and your fear will start to disappear. This is not magic. This is the result of consistent practice. Small actions, repeated daily, create big changes over time. Let me remind you of something very powerful. You do not need hours to practice this. You can do it in small moments throughout your day. When you wake up, when you walk, when you sit, when you eat. You can always think 3 sentences. These small moments add up, and they create a strong habit. Your brain does not need long sessions. It needs regular signals, and this habit gives it exactly that. Now imagine yourself after a few weeks of doing this every day. You are walking outside, and you see something. Without thinking too much, English sentences come to your mind. You are not translating. You are not struggling. You are simply thinking. This is the beginning of fluency. It starts quietly, with small habits like this one, and then it grows into something bigger. So from today, I want you to remember this simple system. Every time you see something, think 3 sentences in English. Keep it easy, keep it real, and keep it consistent. Do not worry about mistakes. Do not worry about being perfect. Focus on building the habit, because the habit will build your fluency. This is not just an exercise. This is a way to train your mind, step by step, day by day. And if you stay with it, you will see results that feel natural, strong, and last. Chapter 7. Use your daily life as your teacher. Now we are going to remove one of the biggest excuses that stops learners from improving. And this excuse is very common. Many people say, I do not have time, or I do not have the right environment, or even I need more lessons before I can practice. But I want you to stop for a moment and look at your life differently, because the truth is very simple. You already have everything you need to learn English, and your daily life is your greatest teacher. You do not need to wait for a perfect situation. You do not need to sit with a book all the time. You just need to start using what is already around you. Look at your room right now. It is not just a place where you sit or sleep. It is full of English practice opportunities. You have a bed, a chair, a table, a phone, maybe a window, maybe a bag. Every single object can become a sentence in your mind. You can look at your bed and think, this is my bed. I sleep here every day. You can look at your phone and think, this is my phone. I use it a lot. These are simple thoughts, but they are powerful because they are real. You are not learning from a book, you are learning from your life. Now let us go beyond objects and move into actions. Every action you do during the day is a chance to practice English. When you wake up, you can think, I am waking up now. I feel a little sleepy. When you go to the kitchen, you can think, I am making food. I am hungry. When you sit down, you can think, I am sitting. I want to relax. These are not special moments. These are normal moments. But when you use them in English, They become learning moments. This is how you turn your life into a classroom without even changing your routine. Many learners believe that learning only happens when they study. But this is not true. Learning happens when you use the language, and you can use it anywhere. You can use it while walking, while eating, while working, and even while resting. The more you connect English with your real life, the stronger your thinking becomes. You are not memorizing something for later, you are using it now, and that makes a big difference. Let me give you another simple example. Imagine you are outside, maybe walking on the street. You see people, cars, buildings, and shops. Instead of just looking, you can start thinking in English. You can say, I see many people. The street is busy. The cars are moving fast. These are small observations, but they train your brain in a powerful way. You are connecting English with the world around you, and this makes your thinking faster and more natural. Now here comes an important realization, and I want you to really feel this. You do not need more materials to learn English. You need more awareness. You need to start noticing the opportunities that are already in your life. Every moment is a chance to think in English. But most people miss these moments because they are waiting for something special. They think learning only happens when they open a book or watch a lesson. But real learning happens when you live the language. This idea changes everything because it gives you independence. You are no longer dependent on a teacher, a class, or a specific time. You can practice whenever you want, wherever you are. You are in control of your learning, and this gives you confidence. When you realize that you can improve on your own, your mindset becomes stronger. You stop making excuses, and you start taking action. I want to share something important with you. The most successful learners are not the ones who study the most. They are the ones who use the language the most. They find ways to bring English into their daily life, even in small ways. They do not wait for long hours of study. They use small moments again and again, and these small moments create big progress over time. Now I want you to try something simple again. Think about your day today. From morning until now, how many moments could you have used to think in English? When you woke up, when you ate, when you used your phone, when you walked, when you sat down. All of these moments were opportunities. And the best part is, these opportunities will come again tomorrow, and the next day, and every day after that. This means your life is already full of practice. You just need to use it. You do not need to change your schedule. You do not need to find extra time. You only need to change how you think during the time you already have. This is what makes this method so powerful. It fits into your life naturally, without pressure. As you continue this practice, something very interesting will happen. English will stop feeling like a separate activity. It will become part of your daily thinking. You will not need to remind yourself all the time. It will start happening automatically. You will look at something, and English will come to your mind. You will do something, and a sentence will form naturally. This is the point where learning becomes effortless. So from today, I want you to see your life differently. Do not look at it as something separate from learning. Look at it as your main source of learning. Your room, your actions, your thoughts, your surroundings. Everything can teach you English if you use it the right way. You already have the best classroom, and it is with you all the time. This is your power. This is your advantage. You do not need to wait anymore. You do not need to depend on anything else. Your life is your teacher, and it is ready to help you every single day. Chapter 8. Mistakes are your power. Now we are going to talk about something that silently stops many learners, something that creates fear, hesitation, and doubt, even when you already know what to say. That thing is mistakes. Many people believe that mistakes are a sign of failure, so they try to avoid them at all costs. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until their sentences are perfect, and they wait until they are sure they will not say anything wrong. But while they are waiting, something important is happening. They are not speaking, they are not thinking, and they are not growing. Today, I want you to see mistakes in a completely different way, because once you change your view, your confidence will change, and your progress will become faster. Let me say this clearly, and I want you to remember it. When you start thinking in English, it will feel messy at first. Your sentences may not be perfect. Your grammar may not always be correct. Sometimes you may forget a word, and sometimes your sentence may sound a little strange. This is not a problem. This is a sign that you are actually learning. It means your brain is trying to build new connections, and during this process, it is normal to make errors. Just like when a child learns to speak, they do not say perfect sentences from the beginning. They try, they make mistakes, they try again, and slowly they improve. Now think about this. If you wait to be perfect before you start thinking or speaking in English, you will wait for a very long time. Perfection does not come before practice. It comes because of practice. This is the mindset shift that changes everything. You do not need to remove mistakes to improve. You need to use mistakes to improve. Every mistake is a step forward, not a step backward. Even fluent speakers make mistakes. This is something many learners do not realize. When people speak quickly, when they are tired, or when they are thinking deeply, they can make small grammar mistakes or choose the wrong word. But they do not stop. They continue speaking, because communication is more important than perfection. This is the confidence you want to build, the confidence to continue, even when everything is not perfect. Let me share a simple truth with you. The brain learns best when it is active, not when it is silent. When you think in English, even with mistakes, your brain is working. It is trying to form sentences, it is trying to connect ideas, and it is trying to express meaning. This activity is what creates improvement. But when you stay silent because you are afraid of mistakes, your brain is not practicing. It is waiting, and waiting does not create progress. Now I want you to imagine two learners. The first learner is very careful. They only speak when they feel sure. They try to avoid mistakes, so they speak less. The second learner is different. They speak often, they think often, and they are not afraid of making mistakes. At first, the second learner may sound less perfect, but over time, something interesting happens. The second learner improves faster, becomes more confident, and starts speaking more naturally. Why? Because they are practicing more, and they are learning from their mistakes. Here comes a powerful moment, and I want you to feel it. If you are making mistakes, you are growing. This is not just a nice sentence. This is the truth of learning. Every time you try to think in English and something feels wrong, your brain is adjusting. It is learning what works and what does not. It is building stronger connections. This process cannot happen without mistakes. So instead of fearing them, you should welcome them. Now let us make this practical. When you are thinking in English and you feel that your sentence is not correct, do not stop immediately. Finish your thought. Let the sentence come out. After that, if you know the correct way, you can gently correct yourself. For example, if you think, I am go to market, you can then adjust it to, I am going to the market. This is a natural process. You are not judging yourself. You are simply improving step by step. It is also important to be kind to yourself during this process. Do not speak to yourself with negative thoughts like, I am bad at English, or I always make mistakes. These thoughts create fear, and fear blocks progress. Instead, speak to yourself in a positive way. You can say, I am learning, or I am improving every day. These simple changes in your thinking can make a big difference in how you feel and how you perform. Remember, confidence does not come from being perfect. It comes from taking action again and again. When you think in English every day, even with small mistakes, you are building courage. You are showing yourself that you can do it. And with time, those mistakes will become fewer, your sentences will become clearer, and your thinking will become faster. Now I want you to try something again. Think about your day today and say 3 sentences in English in your mind. Do not worry about mistakes. Just say them. For example, I wake up early today. I feel little tired. I want to learn English. Maybe the sentences are not perfect, and that is okay. The important thing is that you are thinking, you are trying, and you are moving forward. As you continue this journey, always remember this one idea. Mistakes are not your enemy. They are your teacher. They show you where you are, and they guide you to where you need to go. Without them, learning becomes slow and limited. With them, learning becomes active and powerful. So from today, do not be afraid to think in English. Do not stop yourself because you are unsure. Allow yourself to make mistakes and trust the process. Because every mistake you make is proof that you are stepping out of your comfort zone, and that is where real growth happens. Chapter 9. From Thinking to Speaking. Now we arrive at a moment that many learners dream about. A moment where everything you have been practicing quietly inside your mind begins to come out as real speech. This is where thinking turns into speaking, and I want you to feel excited, because you are not starting from zero anymore. You have already built something inside you. You have trained your mind to think in simple sentences. You have practiced seeing and describing your world in English, and you have started talking to yourself without fear. All of this has been preparing you for this step, and now you are ready to move forward. Let me explain something very important in a simple way. Speaking is not a separate skill from thinking. Speaking is simply thinking out loud. That is all. When your thinking is slow, your speaking feels difficult. When your thinking is clear and direct, your speaking becomes easier and more natural. This is why we focus so much on thinking first, because once your thoughts are ready, your voice can follow without struggle. You are not creating something new when you speak. You are just giving sound to what is already in your mind. Think about the sentences you have been practicing. When you say in your mind, I am walking, or I am learning English, these are already complete ideas. Now, instead of keeping them only in your mind, you will gently bring them out through your voice. You do not need to shout. You do not need to perform. You can start very softly, even in a quiet voice, just enough for you to hear yourself. This small step creates a big change, because your brain starts connecting thinking with speaking. At first, this may feel a little unusual. You may feel shy, even if no one is around. You may feel unsure about your pronunciation or your sentence structure. But remember what you learned in the last chapter. Mistakes are part of the process. You are not trying to sound perfect. You are trying to build a habit. And habits become strong through repetition, not through perfection. Let us do something together again, because action is what creates change. Think of 3 simple sentences about your current moment. For example, I am sitting here. I am watching this video. I want to improve my English. Now, instead of only thinking them, say them softly. Move your lips, use your voice, and listen to yourself. Do not rush. Feel the words as you say them. This is your first step from thinking to speaking, and it is more powerful than you think. What you will notice is that speaking feels easier when the sentence is already clear in your mind. You are not searching for words. You are not translating. You are simply expressing. This is the natural way of speaking, and this is how fluent speakers communicate. They do not build sentences while speaking. They already have the thought, and speaking becomes a natural result, or speaking. As you continue practicing, you can slowly increase your confidence. You can speak a little louder, you can speak more often, and you can even start speaking in front of a mirror. When you see yourself speaking, something interesting happens. Your brain becomes more aware, and your confidence begins to grow. You start to feel like a speaker, not just a learner. This feeling is very important because belief plays a big role in your progress. Now I want you to imagine something powerful. Imagine that you are in a real situation, maybe talking to a friend or meeting someone new. In the past, you may have felt nervous, you may have tried to translate, and you may have struggled to speak. But now, your mind is different. You see something, you think in English, and the words come out naturally. You say, I am happy to meet you, or I like this place, without stopping, without fear. This is not just a dream. This is what happens when you train your thinking consistently. The transition from thinking to speaking does not happen in one day, but it does not take forever either. It grows step by step. First, you think in simple sentences. Then, you say them softly. Then, you say them more confidently. And finally, you use them in real conversations. Each step builds on the previous one, and together they create a strong foundation. There is also something very important that you need to remember. Speaking is not about speed. It is about clarity and confidence. Even if you speak slowly, it is okay. What matters is that your words come from your own thinking, not from translation. When your sentences are clear in your mind, your speaking will always be meaningful, even if it is simple. Another helpful idea is to repeat your spoken sentences. When you say something, you can say it again with a little more confidence. For example, you can say, I am learning English, and then repeat it. I am learning English every day. This small repetition helps your brain become more comfortable with speaking, and it strengthens your memory. As you continue this practice, you will start to notice something exciting. Your fear will begin to disappear. The more you speak, the less afraid you feel, and the less afraid you feel, the more you speak. This creates a positive cycle, where your confidence grows naturally. You are no longer waiting for the perfect moment. You are creating your own progress, one sentence at a time. So from today, I want you to take this step seriously. Do not keep your English only inside your mind. Let it come out, even if it is soft, even if it is simple. Your voice is an important part of your learning, and the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. You have already built the foundation. You have trained your thinking, you have practiced daily, and you have removed your fear of mistakes. Now it is time to bring everything together and start speaking. This is your moment, and you are ready for it. Chapter 10. Your new English identity. Now we come to the most important moment of your journey, a moment where you stop looking at yourself as someone who is struggling with English, and you begin to see yourself as someone who is growing, improving, and moving forward with confidence. I want you to pause for a moment and remember how you felt at the beginning. You may have felt slow when thinking, unsure when speaking, and maybe even a little frustrated when your words did not come out the way you wanted. You may have believed that English was something difficult, something far away, something that required perfect grammar and big vocabulary. But now, something inside you has changed, and this change is not small. You have started to understand that English is not just a subject. It is a way of thinking. It is a habit that you can build, step by step, through your daily life. You have learned how to think in simple sentences, how to see your world in English, how to talk to yourself without fear, and how to turn your thoughts into spoken words. These are not small skills. These are powerful tools, and they are now a part of you. You are no longer waiting for the right time to speak. You are creating that time, every day, in your own way. Think about how you feel now compared to before. Before, your mind may have been full of translation. Every sentence needed effort, every word needed checking, and every moment of speaking felt like a test. But now, you are beginning to think directly in English. Your sentences may still be simple, but they are real. They come from your own thoughts, not from a translation process. This is the biggest transformation, and it is something many learners never reach because they stay stuck in the old way of learning. You are not stuck anymore. This is something I want you to truly believe. You have taken action, you have practiced, and you have changed the way your brain works with English. Even if you are not perfect, even if you still make mistakes, you are moving forward, and moving forward is what matters. Progress is more important than perfection, and you are already making progress. Now I want you to imagine your future, not a far future, but a near one. Imagine yourself a few weeks from now, continuing this practice every day. You wake up, and your first thoughts begin to come in English. You walk, and you describe your actions without translating. You see something, and the English words come naturally. You speak, and your voice feels more confident. This is not a dream. This is a result of consistent practice, and you are already on this path. There will come a time when you no longer think about thinking in English. It will simply happen. Just like your native language feels natural, English will start to feel familiar. You will not need to force your mind. You will not need to stop and search for every word. Your thoughts and your speech will begin to flow together, and this is what real fluency feels like. It is not about using difficult words. It is about expressing yourself clearly and confidently. I also want you to understand something very important. Your journey does not end here. This is not the final step. This is the beginning of a new identity. You are no longer just a learner who studies English. You are someone who uses English, someone who thinks in English, and someone who grows through English. This identity is powerful because it changes how you see yourself. And when you see yourself differently, you act differently. You will start to notice small victories, and these victories will give you energy. The moment when you think in English without translating. The moment when you speak a sentence without fear. The moment when you understand something quickly. These moments may seem small, but they are signs of your progress. They are proof that your hard work is creating results. There may still be challenges, and that is normal. There may be days when you feel slow again, or moments when you forget words. But now, you have the tools to handle these situations. You know how to go back to simple sentences. You know how to use your daily life as practice. You know how to continue, even when things are not perfect. This is your strength. At this point, I want you to take a deep breath and say something to yourself in English. You can say, I am improving every day. I am learning step by step. I can do this. Feel these words. Believe them, because they are true. You have already started your transformation, and there is no need to go back. You are no longer a translator. You are a thinker in English. This is your new identity, and it will grow stronger every day if you continue your practice. Keep thinking, keep speaking, and keep believing in yourself. The journey may be long, but you are no longer at the beginning. You are already moving forward, and that is something to be proud of. This is your moment. This is your progress, and this is your new English identity. Now it's your turn. Start today. Think just 3 simple sentences. Do not wait to be perfect. Just start. Write in the comments, I will think in English, and if you want to speak English with confidence, step by step. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it with a friend. Because your English journey starts now, and I will help you. every single day.